What's going on, everybody? Good morning. I know I'm a little late to the party on this one, but we do have some news to break concerning the Seattle Seahawks. They have made yet another trade. That's right, another Seattle Seahawks trade. They've been very busy in the month of August. And this one, there's a couple different elements at play here. I think you can easily track through a cause and effect on this particular trade. So there's a little bit we got to break down here. There's a little bit we got to go into beyond just the player. But to start with the player, the Seattle Seahawks, per their very own Twitter account and many other official sources, have traded for Trevis Gipson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevis Gipson, outside linebacker slash defensive end slash edge rusher. So already when I say that, you can probably draw the through line of cause and effect. But let's break down the player first. Well, let's start with the trade. So Brady Henderson here says it's a 6th round pick that we gave up to get Trevis Gipson. So Trevis Gipson basically got traded for Darrell Taylor because we got a 6th round pick for Taylor. Now we're giving up a 6th round pick to get in Gipson. It's not conditional according to Brady Henderson. I don't know if it's the exact same 6th round pick, but when you get that deep into the draft, it doesn't really matter at all. It's all going to be approximately the same value. So we basically traded Darrell Taylor for Gipson. So how I feel about that, it's not bad, right? That's not a bad exchange because Darrell Taylor and Gipson are approximately the same age. Gipson is going to cost $2 million less, I think, this year. I think he was going to cost about 3.1. Gipson is going to be more about around that 1 million amount. So we save a little bit of money and we get a player that hasn't had quite the track record of success in the NFL, admittedly, but has a track record of some success. And I mean, we can at least say he's probably going to make the team, right? We just traded for him today. I don't think he's getting cut tomorrow. So we're probably going to have him. And Taylor, we may have legitimately just not kept at all. So through that lens, not bad at all. However, and Brady Henderson does already mention this in the tweet, so I'll go ahead and just not bury the lead any further. This is a trade that is probably being made because Uchenna Nwosu's injury is at least somewhat significant. And on that level, this trade sucks. This is unfortunate. Truly, truly tragic for what it means for potentially Nwosu. So, yeah, on that level, this is bad news because it's implying that we're having to do something to cover ourselves. Whereas we probably would have just kept Taylor if we had known that Nwosu was going to get injured the very next day. So, again, you can make that comp if you want to. You can say, hey, we swapped Taylor for Gipson. Maybe that's a good trade. Maybe that's a fair trade. It depends on your perspective, of course. I think it's reasonable to think that this is a step in the right direction, if for no other reason than that you're saving money and probably getting similar levels of overall production. But the ultimate headline here is going to be Nwosu is probably going to miss a little bit of time at this point. We can safely conclude that. I mean, if we weren't worried about that, we probably would have just waited and seen if the Jaguars were going to cut Gipson, or we would have picked up some other random guy that did get cut around the league, but we felt urgency here. So that's not encouraging. That could spell like a IR stint for Nwosu. Now, the good news is we probably have enough IR stints on this team that we won't have to give up anybody to carry Gipson, because Lucas might start on IR, Young might start on IR, Jarek Reed almost certainly will start on IR. And also, this probably just takes the place of a guy like Nelson Caesar and Jamie Sheriff, I guess you could say. Now, some people are going to be bummed that we didn't see enough out of Caesar and Gipson, or Caesar and Sheriff to carry into the regular season instead of Gipson, but if they don't, they don't. Now, what I can say about Gipson is he does have a decent amount of NFL experience, 5th round pick of the Bears back in 2020. His big year was in 2021 when he had 7 sacks in 16 games for a Bears defense that was pretty decent given how bad their offense was that year, playing the outside linebacker role. So he does have a little bit of familiarity in this kind of a defense. I think that year he was playing under Sean Desai in Chicago. So there is a little bit of familiarity with a 3-4 at least. But then in 2022, his sacks went down significantly, down to 3. And then last year he was on Tennessee, did not play very much at all, had 1 sack. If you go down to his pressure numbers, you can actually see that in 2022 he was still getting a lot of pressure. He just didn't get as many sacks. So we can definitely give him a little bit of a break there. It's just sometimes it's just random variance and luck on whether or not you get a sack. But if you're getting consistent pressure, then that means you're doing something right. But even then, last year we look at it and we go, yeah, he was basically a complete non-entity for the Titans. So not anything we're super excited about, but there is some track record of success here. As for what PFF has to think, they did grade him out extremely well last year, but he barely played. So I don't think this is going to be very illuminating. They literally attributed him with what? 75, not even 75 snaps, it looks like, a run defense plus pass rush snaps. So basically a irrelevant sample size over the course of a full season. In 2022, when he did play a little bit more, they graded him out really poorly, especially his run defense. And if you're thinking about Darrell Taylor in this trade, that should sound kind of familiar. And this was a season where he played over 600 snaps, so there was a sample size. And his big statistical year, which was 2021, I don't know why that stuck on 2022, he was graded out well, but again, run defense was really bad. So, depends on how you want to look at this one, I guess. You're not going to get a Nwosu full Nwosu replacement at this point in the offseason. Obviously, when you're trading a 6th round pick, you don't expect to get back much of anything. So even getting back something like this is in its own way about fair. But the trade is not really what's going to be on people's minds right now. The trade is fine. I don't think anybody's going to complain about this trade in a vacuum. It's a way to save a little bit of money. You basically flip a player that you were probably done with for a player that you're a little bit more, maybe a little bit more optimistic about, but at the very minimum, you're saving money on. So if you look at it like that, it's pretty good. The problem is the Nwosu element. This implies that Nwosu is going to miss at least a couple of games, and we did not need that. We did not need that because he got hurt on a preseason play that should not have happened, because it only happened because of a very dubious roughing the passer call that only happened because the Wyatt Teller went low on Nwosu, which I don't know if it's a dirty play. It is an illegal play, but either way, it's not cool. It's not okay, and I'm not very happy about it. So that's going to be a problem. And if our pass rush looks weak without Nwosu in the opening parts of the season, yeah, we're going to definitely revisit this, and I'm not going to be happy about it. But let's just keep the focus on the trade, because that's the part of this that is pretty... There's not much to be upset about, right? There's plenty to be upset about with Nwosu, because we're probably going to get bad news a little bit later today. But Trevis Gipson seems like a decent enough player, the kind of player that is worth about a 6th round pick and a little bit of salary cap space. So on that level, sure, let's do it. All right, I'll see you guys later. More videos coming. Go Hawks. And let me know what you think about this trade. Let me know what you think about the move. And yeah, go Hawks.